Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Rama Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Rama Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Rama, Rama Ram, Hare Hare. Jai Om Vishnu Pad Brahmans Parivajapacharya Strokes His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Anand Koti Vaishnava Ki Namachar Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Samved Kaur Bhakta Ki. All glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories, all glories, all glories to Guru and God Srila Prabhupada Ki. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Today is Tuesday. Shall I speak Hindi or English? Okay, we'll continue. We are reading Canto 7, Chapter 13, entitled The Behavior of a Perfect Person. Sloka 31. ādhyātmika-ādibhiḥ duḥkhair. ādhyātmika-ādibhiḥ duḥkhair. avimuktasya karhicit. avimuktasya karhicit. martyasya kṛcchropanatair. martyasya kṛcchropanatair. arthaiḥ kāmaiḥ kriyeta kim. arthaiḥ kāmaiḥ kriyeta kim. ādhyātmikādibhir duḥkhair. avimuktasya karhicit. martyasya kṛcchropanatair. arthaiḥ kāmaiḥ kriyeta kim. Can repeat anyone? Meaning, ādhyātmika-ādibhiḥ, ādhyātmika, adhidaivik and adhibhautik. Duḥkhair, by the threefold miseries of material life. Avimuktasya, of one who is not freed from such miserable conditions, or one who is subjected to birth, death, old age and disease. Karhicit, sometimes. Martyasya, of the living entity, subjected to death. Kṛcchra-upanataiḥ, things obtained because of severe miseries. Arthaiḥ, even if some benefit is derived. Kāmaiḥ, which can fulfill one's material desires. Kriyeta, what do they do? Kim, and what is the value of such happiness? Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Materialistic activities are always mixed with three kinds of miserable conditions: ādhyātmika, adhidaivika, and adhibhautika. Therefore, even if one achieves some success by performing such activities, what is the benefit of this success? One is still subjected to birth, death, old age, and disease, and the reactions of his fruitive activities, purpose. According to the materialistic way of life, if a poor man, after laboring very hard, gets some material profit at the end of his life, he is considered as success. Even though he again dies while suffering the threefold miseries, ādhyātmika-ādibhiḥ, adhibautika. No one can escape the threefold miseries of materialistic life, namely miseries pertaining to the body and mind, miseries pertaining to the difficulties imposed by society, community, nation, and other living entities, and miseries inflicted upon us by natural disturbance from earthquakes, famines, droughts, floods, epidemics, and so on. If one works very hard, suffering the threefold miseries, and then is successful in getting some small benefit, what is the value of this benefit? Besides that, even if a karmi is successful in accumulating some material wealth, he still cannot enjoy it, for he must die in bereavement. I have even seen a dying man begging a medical attendant to increase his life by 4 years so that he could complete his material plans. Of course, the medical man was not successful. Of course, the medical man was unsuccessful in expanding the life of the man, who therefore died in great bereavement. Everyone must die in this way, and after one's mental condition is taken into account by the laws of material nature, he is given another chance to fulfill his desires in a different body. Material plans for material happiness have no value, but under the spell of the illusionary energy, we consider them extremely valuable. There were many politicians, social reformers, and philosophers who died very miserably without deriving any practical value from their material plans. Therefore, a sane and sensible man never desires to work hard under the conditions of threefold miseries, only to die in disappointment. Om Ajnāntimirandhasya Jnānanjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manovishram Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuda Padkamalam Sri Gurum Vaishnavam Sri Rupam Sagrijatam Shagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Savaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Shagana Lalita Sri Vishakhan Vitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dīnabandhu Jagatpate Gopesya Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute. Tapte Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishnabhanu Sute Devi Paramhami Hari Pre. Vanchāya kalpatarupasya कृपासिन्धुभैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। नमः ओं विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। Hare Krishna. So I welcome you all in morning Srimad Bhagavatam class. We are reading the conversation between Prahlad Maharaj and a great saint who is just practicing just like a python. Is just laying down on pipe just like a python. Although python and this pine, they have some similarity, but still, as we know, the python, sometimes the python starves because he doesn't get food. But this man, he was not only working and not only lying down as like a python, but also had a good health, big fatty body. So Prahlad Maharaj was very much surprised by his activity. So Prahlad Maharaj was very inquisitive and asked some of the questions. And therefore, today's words is actually the realization of that saintly person who is giving his experience, his spiritual experiences to Prahlad Maharaj. So he's saying in this sloka that materialistic activities are always mixed with three kinds of miserable conditions. So in this sloka, there are some very key points. ādhyātmika-ādibhiḥ, avimuktasya and martyasya. ādhyātmika-ādibhiḥ, in this material world, every activity is mixed with three kinds of miseries. Adhyātmika miseries, adhibautika miseries and adhidaivika miseries. Adhyātmika miseries consist of ādhyātmika. Adhyātmika means self, miseries from self. So in this purport, Prabhupada mentioning self with the body and mind together. Soul is consist of here in this purport with body and mind. So adhyātmika class, nowadays in society, stress level is increasing every day. Every few seconds, the record says that 10 to 20 people are there getting stress. So, adhyātmika class is one of the biggest problem in this modern society. Why so? Because this is the part of the materialistic activity. Because we are engaged ourselves in the materialistic activities, therefore, the stress are the byproducts of our activity. There are 6 kinds of waves according to Bhakti Vinod Thakur. And those waves, one of the wave is distress. If someone is engaged in any kind of activities, definitely he will get distress. Because that is the property of material world. Material world is called duḥkhair asasvatam. It's a miseries, home of miseries. Just like a vidyalaya, it's the home of the education, knowledge. Similarly, this material world is the disease. Duḥkhair. So every action having these principles, duḥkhair. Even we are engaged in some kind of spiritual practice, still we get some distress, because that practice is not pure, and because activity is not pure, it is mixed with the material aspects are there. Because of material aspects are there, therefore miseries are there. So Bhakti Vinod Thakur says, miseries, illusions, distress cannot be separated from a living beings. So, in terms of ādhyātmika class, mind. When we say mind, so mind means mind reflects to the desires, because we have a lot of many desires. Every moment when we chant, we can realize that how many thoughts we are getting, how many thoughts are coming up, and we are unable to maintain sometimes. Also, it's because of the three modes, Rajoguna, Tamoguna and Satoguna. But the desires there are four types of desires. These desires which enforce our mind, because of enforcing this desire to mind, our mind gets distress, not satisfaction. There are four kinds of material desires. One is the desires for the material object. Every moment, our mind is thinking of some of the objects. Just like if some devotee or some person, he has a new laptop, new phone, new car, new building, new home, new wife. So others, by seeing his objects, other person gets affected. And because of, and that effect, it is not because of person, it is because of attached to the material object, desire for the material object. Why that kind of desire is there? Because there is one thing, it's a desire for fame, desire for being a unique personality. Because of a tendency to being a unique personality, his mind always demand for the first class things. And therefore, because of being attached to the material objects, he acts accordingly. He is conditioned by the material objects. Just like advertising is going on based on this principle. People are attached with the material objects, they promote material objects. They promote material objects with sensual objects. Sometimes sensual object and material object both can be considered one, but here material object and sensual object both are different. Just like an iPhone 8. So company will advertise with some lady. Lady is having iPhone. So that lady will demand his boyfriend, his husband or someone to get this iPhone for her. So similarly, because of these two things, persons are addicted and conditioned, and therefore he is forced to engage in the materialistic activities. And the nature of materialistic activity is suffering. So therefore, suffering cannot be separated from a living beings unless he come out from the materialistic platform. So mind, another desire is Another desire is the heavenly comforts. Every person looking for the comfort. Because of the comforts industries, they are developing a lot of comfortable objects, just like a sofa. Nowadays, sofas are coming with the artificial intelligence. So what artificial intelligence will do? Artificial intelligence will sync your emotions, and according to your emotions will give you comfort. Suppose you are feeling a pain by sitting on this sofa. So that artificial intelligence will see your emotion. According to that, he will give you some massage also. So in this way, people are addicted with the heavenly comforts. Just like someone is habitual to travel in the AC train. So if someone says, okay, you don't travel with the AC comfort, you go with the sleeper, it is very difficult for him to accept it. He will think there is something politics going on against me. There's something happening around us. I have to see it. So according to tendency to be attached with the material heavenly comforts, his mind acts accordingly. If he doesn't get the heavenly comforts, his mind will act with the 6 waves. And one of the waves is envy. Envy. Because person's condition, that envy comes into the picture, and that envy create the thinking patterns, and that thinking patterns start with the compare, complaint, criticism, like that. So person is conditioned in material world. Another is the mystic power. These are the material desires, mystic power. So what will happen with the mystic power? A human being has a tendency to control other, to manipulate other for his own purpose. So with that power, suppose for example someone is becoming president, prime minister. So because of the power of that post, he can influence people, he can force people to act for his purpose. So therefore people are looking, this is a tendency of a human being to get power, just like Krishna has power. Human beings also looking for power. Someone has in initial time, people, they are devotees. When the people become devotee, they have a little power. And power of knowledge, that we have to serve devotees. And when gradually that desires come into the picture as a leader, I have to become servant leader. In due course of time, being servant leader, he considered himself not servant but leader. He cut the servant and make leader. So in this way, he starts controlling people because of the mystic power. And fourth is liberation. Liberation is also a material desire. Therefore, if someone has, therefore sometimes we receive some instruction from our spiritual master, acharyas, and because of the instruction we start serving, and in between we get many challenges, many difficulties. So that difficulties inspire us to come out from this responsibility. That desires come because of the tendency to have a liberation. If we do not have a tendency to be liberated, that desire will not come. That things will not affect us. So these are the 4 kinds of desires which enforce people, and these desires make person conditioned. And because of this tendency, human beings are addicted and suffering the material world. Duḥkhair asasvatam. So just like I was saying, there are three words: avimuktasya, martyasya, and ādhyātmika-ādibhiḥ. Okay, I was discussing about the adhyātmikas. Second was adhidaivika. Although we can establish our own company, own organization, own building, own infrastructure, everything on, but we are not super controller. There are many controllers above us. That is the daivika, adhidaivika. So how we get the suffering from the daivika? Just in Prabhupada's mentioning, earthquake, famines, drought, floods, epidemics, and so on. Just like recently Kerala incident, big flood, big industries, they were destroyed in the flood, and that industry was developed not in couple of days. It was developed with the struggle, with many intelligence for many years. Then for working hard for many years, they could establish their infrastructure, their company. But in few days, with the adhidaivika miseries, all things are spread out. And third is the adhibautika. Adhibautika is very normal to understand. Adhibautika miseries are considered with the imposed by society, community, nation, and other living entities. Just like we say Suddhikaran. Suddhikaran means someone is purifying us. So what is that? He is acting against our desire. And that his behavior, it's scorching our material desires. So therefore we say Suddhikaran. That word is applicable for the devotees, but not for the outside people. Outside people, they are considered something else. So, suffering from other living entities. From other living entities, before understanding from other living entities, first we have to understand the living entities. Generally we say that we are not body, we are soul. But actually, as per the purport, what Prabhupada is mentioning, ādhyātmika is considering as a body and mind. So because body and mind means the property of body, the property of mind. The property of mind is person is having emotions, person is having a desire, person is having perception. Because of a person having emotions, desire and perception, similarly other persons also having the same kind of properties, desire, perception, like that. So when two persons, they come together, their desires, if their desire doesn't match, their perception doesn't match, their vision doesn't match, conflicts come out. Because conflicts come out, because there is a tendency, jiva jivasya jivanam. This is the principle, formula, jiva jivasya jivanam. Then there is a fight. In the fight, the winner will try to control over the other person. So who is the controller? The controller will win the match and he will start manipulating his loser according to his will. So this is happening around the world. People are fighting for the post, people are fighting for the prestige, people are fighting for the fame, people are fighting for the material objects, and these things are happening because of the individuality. So this is the misery from the people, other living entities. It's a kind of other living entities. So similarly, other living entities are not only human beings, also animals and mosquitoes. But most of the problems what we face in the modern society, is from within the human society. They have different conceptions, and our conceptions are कितना टाइम तक हो गया? टाइम 5 मिनट. Okay. So these kind of things are happening. So I was talking 3 words: avimuktasya, martyasya, ādhyātmika-ādibhiḥ. So avimuktasya means the human being doesn't have the freedom at all. That means although he has desire, he cannot fulfill his desire because he has no freedom. Avimuktasya, not muktasya, avimuktasya. Another is martyasya. Martyasya means subject to death. Although he struggles for getting success, sometimes he is successful in this material world. Although, yes, many people are getting success, but still, what is the martyasya? Subject to death. So he is suffering lot of suffering for the small, tiny success, because after a few times he will die. So that's sram eva hi kevalam, because he was struggling just for the one drop of success. So that is because that tendency is because of illusion. People are working hard because of illusion. People are considering that I'll become president, I'll become prime minister, I'll become minister, I'll become an army officer, like that I'll be successful. But for that they are struggling hard. So in between, for getting a small drop of success, small drop of pleasure in success, they struggle more than the one drop of success. So that is the subject to death, because of the subject to death. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's stories, we receive a very fine message how to come out from this situation, materialistic tendency. So there is a story between the Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu during the Rath Yatra. So during the Rath Yatra, the king was looking for shelter of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was not giving shelter earlier. So he was realizing, and the king expressed his realization like that: Vaigurne kite kalitaha paishunya varna piritaha. That means Vaigurne kite kalita means human beings are infected by the germs of material activities. Kita kalita. Kita kalita means the germs of materialistic activities beating the living entity, is always being beaten by the germs of materialistic activities. And paishunya varna pirita. And all the human beings, all the living entities, mostly human beings, all the human beings are paishunya varna pirita. They are suffering from the boil of envy. Just like boil in our body, as soon as we touch the boil, we get the pain. Similarly, boil of envy, people are suffering because of the boil of envy. So what is the remedy for that? Danya arne nimango aham chaitanya vaidyam asrahe. Unless we take the shelter of Lord with full surrender, with full humility, we cannot come out from this situation. Boil of envy and the germs of material activities will give us a lot of suffering. Because of that suffering, it is said that sansara sarpadashta nam murchitana kalo yuge. Because of that kind of beating, person gets a lot of suffering, that its suffering is compared to the like when person is beaten by a snake and he gets the murchitana, it gets the unconscious because of the beaten by the snake. So suffering of a human being is like the beaten by the snakes. So the remedy is given, the Nam Sankirtam, yes. This remedy is given, Ausadam Bhagavan Nam Srimad Vaishnava Sevanam. So these kind of remedies are given to come out from the material tendency. Unless we follow these principles, unless we accept this Dhanya Arnam, unless we accept the property, the principles given in the Shastras, Bhagavan Nam Srimad Vaishnava Sevanam, we cannot come out from the material miseries. So therefore, I'll conclude and summarize. These material activities, to come out from this tendency of being attached to the materialistic activities, we have to come out from our tendency of exploiting and detachment from the vision that will get the success in material world, and that success will give us the pleasure, happiness. We have to come out from this kind of thoughts. We have to remove this kind of perception that in this material world by material activities will get success, and that can be only possible unless we accept the remedies given in the Shastra, just like Dhanyam, shelter to holy name, and Srimad Vaishnava Sevanam. Thank you very much. Any comments? Although we do not have time. Any comments or something else? ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद।